and unpaused. There we go. So let me, oh, can't do that. Let's go back to screen share.
And pin yourself.
And I will pin myself. Where did that button go?
I don't know.
Oh, there's Andrew. Okay, stop screen share. And pin. There we go. And then we go screen share. And let's see what the next picture is. All right, this is Ivan. This is the guy who took over the orphanage from Justina. He was an orphan himself. Justina raised him and has now taken over the orphanage and is doing a fantastic job. And I will end up taking him on as a disciple on WhatsApp once a week now. So this is the first hotel that we go to in Jinja, which is where the orphanage was at. This is right downtown Jinja. So this is the entrance. It's called the Alnisa Hotel. And he took lots of pictures. These guys are all very social media savvy. There we go. What's happening is I tried to download all these pictures onto my computer and they're still trying to render, I think. Another one. All right, here are our orphans inside the main room of the orphanage. They just got toothbrushes. I don't know how happy you are when you get a toothbrush. These guys are pretty happy. There are about 30 of them, 25 or 30 living in the orphanage there. They all have their red, white, and blue shirts because they're all required to wear a uniform. So it is now called Hope from Above Ministries. They are extremely well behaved. I was able to find a massage therapist in the hotel. That's her massage room. I was pretty excited about this. She turned out to be a Christian lady, more toothbrushes, and she played worship music during the massage. This is out in the lobby where we discovered they had milkshakes. This was a for everybody. David, Nita, this is Martha. Julius and Martha are the worship pastors at the church. And here we are. This is Ivan. He just got his first pair of CCO, and he could not move fast enough to put those on.
Aww.
So all the kids got CCO. They got toothbrushes. They got a year's supply of Juice Plus. Some soccer balls, playground balls to play with. Well, we got a lot of pictures of these toothbrushes. I was not in charge of the camera on this part. So. Okay, we discovered that they had something called French fries and hot dogs over there. We were pretty excited about our food choices, I can tell you that. On the airplane ride, God gave me a whole bench to myself, which meant I got to sleep for good portions of the flight. So that was very helpful.
Oh, that's nice. How long was the flight?
12 hours from San Francisco to Istanbul. And then another 6 hours down. You don't realize how big Africa is. 6 hours down, and we still weren't at the tip of, like the Horn.
Wow.
to get to Uganda. Eurofoam is big over there. Basically, it's the foam mattresses we had as children in twin beds, but everybody uses it. This is landing in Istanbul. There was snow on the ground. That was encouraging. Here's coming into Istanbul. It is a massive city, also previously known as Constantinople. Boo, Constantine. Oops, yeah, there's another one. One doesn't seem happy. Close a couple down. Clearly, I'm putting my computer in a tailspin here. Hang in there. Ah, welcome to Jinja, downtown. So these little motorcycles here are called boda bodas, and there are approximately 50 billion of them in Uganda. I kid you not. Everybody has a boda boda.
That's like in Thailand. That's all I rode practically was motorcycles or scooters.
Oh my gosh, it's scary. Okay.
You know, it's like that Mario Kart race game, you know, where everybody lines up with all those. That would be right about there.
Somewhere in here, I have a picture. There's like, it looks like the Tour de France. They're like 200
Yeah.
at a stoplight, and when it's green, they just all go every direction. It's just crazy.
And you have like 500 million of them.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's try this one. We'll get something to open here. Come on, little computer, you can do it. Oh, more eggs at this. Oh, so we get down to the restaurant, and it's, you know, primarily a Muslim country. And so like my go-to is eggs in the morning, and they're like, do you want sausage? And I'm like, sausage? What are you talking about? You mean pork sausage? And he goes, no, beef sausage. And I'm like, hallelujah. Everywhere we went, they had beef sausage, and it was delicious. That's the airport again. 1 second here. Next. Okay, that's where we ended. All right, there's our boda bodas in the middle of the street, and they just drive down those little alleys any way they want. There are no road markings on the street, so they just kind of go wherever. It is a very exciting process. Let me see what's next here. Okay, they're done rendering, so this should go faster. Okay, so there was Ivan. Give me just a second here. That was Turkey. This is a cool plant next to a 7-Eleven. It really wasn't a big deal. Where was this?
That looks like bananas.
Yeah, there are a ton of bananas. They have plantains there, and then they have something else called matoke. Matoke is like the staple food for Uganda. It's what you feed every child so they don't die. And it's made from a banana-like looking thing. I tried it. I survived. You wouldn't want to eat bowls of it, type thing, but they do. And then they turn
Kind
into
of like poi.
very, very similar. Yeah, this is outside the Al Nisa Hotel. This is still in Jinja. See there, Al Nisa Hotel and Spa. Okay, this is across the street from the spa. That's a dairy factory. This is just down the street. It's a big hotel. This is the lobby of the hotel in Jinja. Someone bought this within the last couple years and have remodeled it, but it's been a hotel for many, many years. This is part of the lobby also. This is out in front. This is the cologne and parfum department of the lobby. My favorite one is they had a bottle of perfume called Facebook. And so
Oh my God.
I kind of felt like if everybody in the world would just take a squirt, then everybody would like each other after that. But all right, here's the bathroom in my room here. They have, this is the poor man's bidet, do it yourself. And here's the shower. My shower handle thing here did not work. So I got to squat to shower, which was really fun on my hip. Here's the rest of the lobby. Okay, let me close some of these down. There's the water heater above the shower. So about a half hour before you want to take a shower, you go turn that on, and then you'll have hot water. And, hi, come on in. So here's the bed in the hotel. Everything comes with a mosquito net around it.
Mosquito nets.
Yeah, so you don't want to get sick.
Do they call mosquitoes mosquitoes?
They call them dangerous.
Well, yeah. You know, I was looking at your picture. It's like, why does this look so familiar? I've been to Jinja. I've been to the Lake Victoria. It's like, oh my gosh, I know exactly where you are.
Yep. Okay, so let's go. So this is the ceiling above where I'm having breakfast. Those are bees. They came at night, apparently. And so we're all sitting at the table, and they're like, hey, Albert, look up. I'm like, ah! That was kind of a surprise for breakfast. But they were very docile. They weren't like, killer bees. This is the massage table there. That's the desk in the bedroom, in the hotel room. Give me a second here. So they have a different type of massage bed there, table, and it has this giant hole. And so the whole time you're staring underneath the hole at all of their other stuff. It's really funny looking. All right, here are the kids in Jinja again. This is the road to Jinja. So you can see the bit right here. See that big dark area?
Yeah.
That's a rut. It's a 2-foot deep rut in the road.
Ooh, that's hard on the vehicles.
Oh man, yeah. Kitties. We just got toothbrushes. He's trying to stick it in his ears, not quite sure how to use it. right, so here, this is them getting their CTO. They were very excited about that. Same. They also got mezuzah, and so they were going to put the mezuzah on the gate, the front gate that they just built, and also on the doors of the house. So they were awfully excited about that. And more of the same. I have not had time to organize any of this. I apologize for that. Hang in there. All right, so this is where it starts getting kind of cool. This is the source of the Nile River. It's the very beginning of it. So, and apparently they have tour guides, and they're expensive. Who knew? This is a tour guide boat here that didn't make it back, so it's apparently dangerous. This tells you all about the source. This is Mahatma Gandhi's tomb marker, because when he died, they put his ashes into the Nile River there. And there's a whole. Oh, here's the Facebook perfume. If you use it, everybody likes you. Some sort of chicken and chilies, along with the fries. Fries was one of my big staple foods there.
Really keto.
Keto.
But health food all the way, didn't you, Albert?
Oh, it is a non-keto society. Okay, so this is a bridge just down from the source of the Nile, and they just built it maybe a couple years ago, and you cannot take any pictures of it because they're afraid rebels will come and blow it up. So I had to take a picture. So.
Because you're a rebel.
Different level, but yes. So up in the far corner is where we were at the source of the Nile. It is it was originally an English colony, so everything's on the other side of the road. Yeah, freaks you out, especially at night with a million motorcycles coming the other way at you. So the bodas, I'm sure, I don't know if it was probably this way in Thailand, Chris. So these are like 400-pound bags of charcoal. Was it this way in India when you were there?
Or in Thailand.
In Thailand,
there, yeah.
okay. So there were people with beds on the back of these, auto windshields. I mean, you name it, and stacked high.
And they'd call it. Yep.
Oh man, it was just crazy. This is the biggest forest in Africa, in East Africa. This is where it was starting. There's some more of it. It's kind of this is a shanty poor person's area, but you'll notice 2 blocks behind it, you've got very wealthy homes back here, all over this hill. So it's all intermixed. There's no necessarily poor area. These guys walk up and down the street selling you stuff in between the cars whenever you get to an intersection. They're very entrepreneurial. You could buy anything from a COVID mask to parts for your car, mufflers, food, you name it, they're selling it. They're hawking their wares. Okay, so now, let's see what's next here. So we bought G-nuts. They're basically like our peanuts, but like a third the size. They're really tiny. And we bought 1 billion of them.
Big of a G. G-nuts, not
And this is Julius. He's the worship leader. Here they are selling more things. Give me a second. Trying to find some good video stuff for you guys. Traffic in Kampala is worse than LA. We sat there for about an hour without moving.
Oh,
So David had told me, he said, when we get over there, you have to realize we're only going to do one thing today. And well, because it takes so long to get to that one thing and get back, you can only fit one thing in. Yeah. Then we stopped at a mall.
what is
Gelato, yes. Giant mounds of gelato. That was my favorite day. I almost cried.
Yeah.
And the place was called Yummy. I thought that was appropriate. And it was at Lugogo Mall. I thought that was a great name. So here we are coming into a big traffic intersection. More bodas. Just, it's a mess.
Oh,
And
man.
those
You got
guys,
a lot of
they're swooping inside and out. It's very concerning. I took a boda ride and I wanted to get my phone out, but I was so concerned that I would drop my phone the way he was driving that I didn't take the video. This guy's in the middle of traffic with a wheelbarrow full of rice.
Yeah,
And
what is it?
he was keeping up with traffic.
I can't put it in anymore.
Oh,
This is a big furniture store. I took that for my brother.
Put it in my purse.
This is the lady of husband that we led to Christ.
On the wheel.
oh, yeah.
This is a police intersection. They have these like every 5 miles on the freeways. This is a freeway, by the way, without markings.
Oh, my gosh.
And so you're coming along and it says police barricade or something like that. So everybody stops on both sides and then one car at a time S's through there. No one's directing it or anything like that. It's just, you kind of have to do this. Way down on the other side and on this side, there are police. They may or may not come out and talk to you. The yellow things are spike barricades, and they're not like the US type where you blow your tires out. These things spear your engine. So your
Yeah.
car will never work again once you've went over one of these. I think they're designed to stop tanks or something.
Wow.
Okay. I'm going to run back up here for a second and pick up a video for you guys because Caitlin is here and I want to give her some gifts. So let's see what we can find for you guys. I think this is the welcome ceremony, if I remember right.
We are happy to see you today. We are very, very happy. We are happy. We are happy to see you today. Welcome, 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 our visitors. We are happy to see you today. We are very, very happy. We are happy. We are happy to see you today. Welcome, 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 our visitors. We are happy to see you today. We are very, very happy. We are happy. We are happy to see you today. Welcome, 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 our visitors.
So you notice I got some killer dance moves in with them here.
We are very, very happy. We are happy. We are happy to see you today. Welcome.
So everywhere you go in Uganda, they love visitors. They're really a hospitable culture. And so everybody sings a welcome song. Even if you're not welcome, you're going to get a welcome song. Try another one. Okay, I think this is just driving through Kampala.
It's an opposition district.
All right, so we are in Masaka now. Oh, we're in Masaka.
After 73 hours of driving, Julius is a trooper. drove us the whole way.
No time for gambate.
Okay. So Masaka is where we did most of the spent most of the time with David Nita's church and stuff like that. Oh, this is passing. So they kind of drive like in the middle of the line, and so they got kind of like momentum or inertia to get past the cars faster that way. Also, very odd when you see cars coming down the road at you, and they think it's normal.
So Masaka is the name of the district.
Okay, so we'll change that out. Try another. Okay, this should be the most scientific and interesting video that I've ever done.
Okay, homie, done.
We're at the equator.
We're at the equator here in Uganda. It's our first experiment. It's in the south. On the south side of the equator. So he fills this tray up.
We're like 10 feet south of the equator.
Awesome. Let's turn off the timer.
What happens in your toilet, right? Actually, it's not what happens in our toilet.
Well, I'm already impressed. but if it doesn't work.
So now we go 20 feet on the other side of the equator.
There's the equator right there. I feel so balanced right now. Balance has come to the force. So now we're on the northern side. Germany, Sweden, all the northern countries. There's the Coriolis effect in reverse. Exactly.
Only 10 feet, 20 feet difference. And it's turning the other way.
You sure this isn't magic? No magic. Put other countries that this line process, we do the same. So now it's going clockwise. The flower is going clockwise. Follow from the equator line the faster. Close is slow.
So at this point, they had me. I was like, this is great. We've answered the age-old question, which way does it, rotate down? But now he blows our mind. So what's your guys' prediction? What's going to happen if it's on the equator exactly?
So I want to see what happens.
I already know, so I'm gonna say.
Don't tell him, Ruth. Don't tell him.
Latitude 7 in Africa. Africa, I have Uganda, Kenya, Somalia.
So all our water here goes straight
Straight
down.
down, yeah, because you're in zero.
That's better. It sucked it right down like a wow. That was like one of the highlights of my trip right there.
Yes.
Okay, let me show you a couple more and we'll go on. I've got to show you how we went through the
Hey
rut.
guys, if you think your road is bad and it has a pothole, I want you to check out this road.
One way to keep speeding down, huh, Albert?
Oh my. And every road is like
He's
this.
tweaking over here. This dance class.
Oh, we're gonna hit that one.
Literally bouncing up and down in the chairs. Off to the left, you'll see a brickyard, which is apparently a theme in my life.
Seems to be a theme in my life, brickyards. Totally different. They're like large scale.
So this is kind of a typical neighborhood,
That's a nice wall.
you know,
Nice park.
middle America, middle Uganda neighborhood. Everybody's got fences with barbed wire or glass, you know, on top of it for safety. Giant gates. Just trying to show you the church. That's the Andretta Hotel. That's at Lake Victoria, which was clouded in when we got there, but it was not when we left. So I appreciated that. This is Istanbul Airport. They have all of the big companies and shops and duty-free things. And it's a brand new airport. It's the biggest one in the world now.
Just made it through passport control. Had a safe flight.
I didn't go
San
everywhere, but
Francisco.
I wouldn't surprise me.
Istanbul, 13 hours with masks.
Yeah, so a 13-hour air flight is bad enough. 13 hours in masks makes it a horrible experience.
Oh, no kidding.
This is the Andretta Hotel. So on the other side of those trees is Lake Victoria. Just couldn't see it in this one. Oh, we could get some here. So there's
Right,
Lake
so here we are
Victoria.
at Lake Victoria. We got the whole gang here, and we've had breakfast.
The water's super high this year.
We had a great time to chat and meet each other. And this is Lake Victoria in the background, named after
Somebody
Queen
named
Victoria,
Victoria.
I'm guessing, since you have a Lake Albert up there. That would be Prince Albert, but not in a can, right? Right.
So you can see where that tree was. That's normally where the water
So
is.
apparently,
Or the land is
last
out there.
year,
And let's get that one. Show you the dancing. Oh, okay, this will work. So again, like they welcome us, and then they have this. This is actually, when you see it, you're gonna like, what in the world? This is a traditional Ugandan dance. Okay, so this is like a big deal to them that they're performing. Very similar to a luau, except it's very sharp hip movements. And then they put their sweaters around their stomachs, but normally there's a traditional skirt thing that they wear. And I'm thinking, like, why'd they teach them how to do like twerking or something? What's going on? I don't understand. And then they start doing it on the floor. But this is like an ancient dance.
That where twerking came from?
And Julia said they did it really well. At the Andretta Hotel, I got there and they specifically got me a room with a bathtub so I could soak my hip, and there was no plug in the bottom, so the little dish was my bathtub that day. Kids and toothbrushes again.
Zitzi?
Or maybe that was Zitzi. There was a monkey up in this tree, but he was pretty sly and we couldn't get good pictures of him. Some of that out. Oh, so Julius then, he's a worship leader, and there's this song that is like super popular in Africa. I would have had no idea about this, but this woman in Nigeria wrote it several years ago. And so I'm thinking, he's not going to know any Hebrew songs that these kids would know or anything like that. And he pulls this out, and they went bananas for it.
Can't hear it.
So even the little kids knew the song, and it just kind of like broke the ice and stuff. There, more roads, more seat. There's a few more out. More toothbrushes. Wow, we got a lot of toothbrushes. I think that's a ceiling, so I don't know what that's about. Scoot down here real quick. So this is at the Bandus. This is the hotel that we stayed at. This is the restaurant. It's up on a hill and it overlooks the city, where they made me eggs and beef sausage every morning with Irish potatoes. And I love them for it. And this is a guy named Martine with Julius. He's a local pastor there. Had a great story about casting demons out of a guy that he, the guy was kind of like Legion in the Gospels, and he was causing problems in the city. So Martine went to confront the guy, and a bunch of people from the church are with him. And so he decides, I'm just going to tackle the guy and bind him up. And so he tackles the guy, and his whole church leaves. And he was the only one left. And so he's down on the ground doing MMA wrestling with this guy, finally gets him under control, puts him in chains, drags the guy to his house for the next 2 weeks, and prays with the guy until it's all settled. So he had really good stories to tell about all sorts of stuff there. So there's the cafe up on top. The door underneath is now a chapel. They dug it out by hand underneath the restaurant. It took them 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was glad I was not part of that team. More of the Bandus there. Martin also got a Sawzall. He's a carpenter, and he was very thrilled about that. So this is a place we went to called Willow. We did a men's conference there, and then we also did, we started an ONE business networking group there. So in Uganda, an ONE is one is pronounced emu. So we started an emu group. And they took to network marketing like you would not, networking like you would not believe. They were doing member to members, and they were just like, it just made so much sense to them. So the lady in the pinkish outfit there, so there was pink, just not a lot of it. Her name is Hadija. She's a Muslim, and she has been, and this is our business group. Everybody else in the group is a believer, and she has been interested in reading the Bible, and she wanted a Bible to read. I happened to have an extra box full, so I gave her one, and she jumped on me. I thought it was like a demonic attack and punched her. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no.
She pulled open her notes, and she had like 6 pieces of paper that were photocopied, and that was all of the Bible she could get a hold of from friends to read. So I gave her a whole Bible, and she just like jumped on me, hugged me. It was very embarrassing because they don't do public displays of affection at all in Uganda. It is disallowed. So the girl on the right here, her in the blue shirt, her name is Betty. The girl on the left is Doris. They set up a member-to-member with me at the Bandus while the rest of the team went somewhere else for ministry work. And I was informed that it was a date. That Betty was interested in me. And I completely freaked out because that's not why I was in Africa. And so the day before that happens, my friend in Yakima sends me an email about the trip, and she goes, "Yeah, I know. You're over there. You're gonna pick up a girl, and you're gonna get married to a Ugandan, aren't you?" And I'm like, "What? Where is all this coming from? Everybody's teasing me about this." And so I wake up and I'm having a dream, and I wake up and there's this song. I thought it was from Weird Al Yankovic. It was from Paul Simon in the 70s, and it's called "They Call Me Al." I had no recollection of this. I look up the lyrics, and in the middle of the song, it talks about a girl named Betty. I'm just like, ah! I was very concerned about that. And it turned out it was just a proper business meeting. I was very excited about that. So this is after the network marketing meeting. Let's see here. The cloth around the shoulders makes total sense. L.
Did you hear all that?
Here we go. So be careful judging the dance moves. Remember, there were 12 tribes. They all did things differently.
Yes.
So apparently they never learned the appropriate Pentecostal hop over there. The worship team was from Kampala and in Africa that are very well known. So see that guy right there? So this was a 2-hour worship service, right? Just a Wednesday night type thing. And I always tell everybody, so like the middle guy, Andy, he was the leader of the group. He kept saying, "Everybody stand up and dance. Everybody stand up and dance." And I just sat in my chair the whole service. I danced all of the 90s away in church. I'm not afraid to dance in church. That's not my issue. And so what you want me to do is get on my knees. That's where I'm best, is just praying. And so just after this song, I went down on my knees and I started praying for Uganda, and the whole service changed. It's the most bizarre experience of my life. And I got up 30 minutes later, and everybody in the room was on their knees repenting. Totally wild. So then we all sit back in our chairs, and the thing ends, and I knew I was supposed to tell this guy something. And I said, "Well, I'm not walking up there, so you're going to have to make him want to come over and sit next to me." David Nita had left, and I'm just sitting in the chair alone. He walks over and sits down, and I said, "I have a word from the Lord to you." And he goes, "Great, tell me what it is." I said, "You're going to give your life for Jesus." Hardest thing I've ever had to say in my life. And he was okay with it. Bizarre experience.
He's going to give his life.
He will be
Jesus.
martyred for Christ.
Martyr.
So that was a fun night. More dance. More business. I think that's kind of the gist of it. What was this one? More worship. It went on a long time. So if we get down to the end here and find something different. More driving. We did a lot of driving. Oh, we went to this, what do we call it? It's like Saturday market, except like big time. Oh, I bet I can find, it's right in this area. Nope.
Pretty messy.
Very messy, very dirty. So we got potatoes there, tomatoes. So standing behind David there is the Matoki plant. And you can see right here, these look like bananas, but they're actually called Matoki.
Oh, wow.
These are the giant branches. So they look just like our bananas.
Do they taste like them?
They do not. I mean, they're not terrible or anything. What they do is they steam them and mush them into like a paste.
Are they called plantains?
They're not plantains. They're very close to a plantain, though, which I also had there. This is the wedding shop that we took all the dresses to. This is looking out of the wedding shop. Right on this giant street here. You can see it when it's lit up at night, all the way down that street. Beans and rice day, or no, chicken. Oh, so if you look on the left side, right there, that's a big hunk of Matoki. These are potatoes over here. And that is a giant leg of some beast.
Oh,
You don't like
kosher, I take it.
It was kosher, yes. It was probably chicken, if I remember right. Here's all the dresses we brought over.
Nice.
This is Martha's second business where she does crocheting and all sorts of little crafts to sell. So this is like the average size of a business.
Mhm.
Wow.
Very small micro businesses. We're dancing. The pool. One of my favorite spots, the church. We're dancing. All right.
Did you get a picture of the guy with the knife?
I do somewhere have a picture with the guy with the knife.
I mean, a video of you.
What
So,
guy with what knife?
Okay, so what happened is there's this guy, his name is Omega, right? And he's a great guy. David brought over for several of them, a pocket knife. And he had never seen a pocket knife before. And this was just like a great gift, a knife for a young man. And like, he's probably 20 something. And it's gotta be around here somewhere. Oh, there's some karate with the kids. Teaching them how to do a front choke escape. Hallelujah defense. That went over really well because it was one word they knew.
Did they not speak English?
They're learning both. So some did better than others. I don't know what just happened there. There we go. see if I can find Omega. So what happens is Omega gets the knife as well as the other guys, but he's kind of on the younger edge of all of them that got pocket knives. And he pins it, onto his belt. And like, this is like this giant thing of honor. He's got this knife now. And, it's kind of slightly dangerous and things like that. And so then he takes it off of his belt loop and he starts swinging it around like he's a bad guy. And he does it really funny. And he's making all sorts of like karate sounds with it and stuff. And he did this 4 or 5 different times, showing it to everybody around. This is the girl that you got the chocolate pop from. Okay. And so this is the men's conference. This is a typical kitchen in Uganda. And a typical men's conference. So after watching him do this 4 or 5 times, I'm like, we're going to have to work on this pride issue thing going on here with him. And so we get done with the men's conference. Oh, here's the typical bathroom. No flush toilets. Only squatty potties.
Just gotta stand.
Yep.
Have you done all stand?
Have fun with that. Here's the kitchen, rest of the kitchen.
Oh, and I was whining about my small kitchen.
Right?
Well, I won't do that.
That's the whole living room.
Wow.
There's Martin. He got a new shirt. Pretty happy about that. He also got a motorcycle helmet at the end of the day. There's the pantry side of the kitchen. So Nita came in, cleaned it all out, helped her organize it and stuff like that. They're not very good at organizing. That's an avocado. They were huge. They were like cantaloupe.
Wow.
Making more contacts with other missionaries. So it's late at night after the men's conference. I hear Omega behind the van with a bunch of guys goofing off. And I go back there to see what's going on. And he's got his knife out, showing it to everybody. And he's swinging it around wildly. This is a place we went to called Rakai. It is now an orphanage, and they're adding like a pastoral center for pastors to come to from all over Africa.
Nice.
And so, so I stop him and I go, hey, get out your knife for me. And then I have him open it up and I'm motioning him like, come closer to me, come closer. And he's holding it right in front of me. And I'm like, get closer, get closer. And when he gets right in front of me, I go, stab me. And he pushes it forward. I block, grab it, turn him over in an arm bar and knock it out of his hand. And he was utterly horrified that someone take the knife away from him without thinking about it. And so the last I saw him that evening, as I was getting into the car, he was standing behind the van, wrapping his arms around, trying to figure out how I did what I did to him. It was really funny. But I didn't get any pictures. So he came to the bandas a few nights later, and I had him get out his knife, and he was afraid at that point. And I was like, no, I just want to take a picture. And he was confused, and he actually did try to stab me. So I really like Omega, though. He's really fun. So these are, here's corn. They do a lot of corn there.
Oh, that's what that is.
There's making lots of bricks. All right. Thank you so much for covering everything. Good to see you. It sounded like everybody had a great time training. Tracy said there was lots of laughter and all of that. So keep, keep that. Awesome. I do want to get to the picture of Omega here, and then we'll start the teaching. Ceilings, bathrooms. A lot of pictures of bathrooms. I really don't have an issue.
Are you sure?
Thank you so much, Caitlin.
No problem.
Um,
Yeah, I should be in class on Tuesdays.
Hi, Caitlin.
Here.
Bye.
So one of the things at Rakai that I was looking to understand is how they do their cows and goats and how they make all of this work so that we can duplicate something at the Jinja orphanage. So these are all the goats they have there. They have a whole herd of cows, chickens galore. We brought them hula hoops to have fun with. And they did. This is a classroom that they are learning in. And that day, there's 200 kids that go to the orphanage. Many of them were sent to their relatives when COVID hit. So there's only about 20 or 25 that are there right now. So we taught them a little karate, a little hula hooping, sang some songs. Here's the Jinja Orphanage beds and that Euro foam mattress that everybody loves. And we were able to get them 30 blankets, 4 more beds, and 7 mosquito nets for the beds that didn't have nets.
Nice.
Okay, so here's a wedding we went to check on. That is a tire rim, is that right? That they're cooking on top of there. He is making chapati, which is basically
Yeah, right there. Come on, baby, right there. Give me some. Yeah.
It's a Ugandan pancake. And it's like we would use it like a tortilla. So this is outside of a beautiful hotel. What you're seeing is the caterer. The caterer for the wedding goes outside of their parking lot in this big yard, and they cook everything outside. So the hotel doesn't let them use their own stuff. That's because the hotel stuff looks exactly like their stuff 50 yards away. But I'm sure that OSHA has approved everything, and it's very safe.
I'm sure.
And so they're making pancakes here. That's chicken in a pot, and there's matoke over there, and then that is giant hunks of beef in a pot. And from what we heard, it tasted delicious. We did not go to the wedding. Yep, there's the beef in a pot. This is up on a place called Prayer Mountain. Julia's singing away. We were up there before sunrise. That's the moon, proving that I can get up early in the morning. They made me beef sausage pizza, and I was thrilled with that. Had it several times. It's very tasty. Okay. Where's Omega? That's the big question. They also made me a pineapple banana split. They carve out the pineapple and they put it all inside the pineapple. Very fun. Prayer time at Prayer Mountain. This is Martin. I'm pretty sure he's casting something out of me. That's Julius. I think he was casting something in.
Gonna have fun labeling all these things.
I know. These are prayer huts. People come up and live in them for, a week at a time, a month, and just pray. The tree line, everybody got prayed for. This is the wedding. Absolutely gorgeous. More prayer. Who knows what that is? Oh, so this is a step. So I didn't get the very front of the step down here. So that's a step up with a doorway and another step and then a piece of tile and then another piece of tile. Every one of these things is at a different height.
Oh,
I tripped.
no kidding.
Yeah. The idea of ADA, availability for things is non-existent in Uganda.
You'll be tripping.
And this is one of my big lessons I'll talk about when we get to the Torah study here, is that I had to because it's so uneven and there's so many steps, I was always holding on to someone's hand or shoulder so I wouldn't fall over. And that's kind of an odd, unique thing for me to have to go through. This was an interesting thing on the table of the wedding. We thank you for risking COVID-19 to celebrate with us. I thought that was pretty funny. It was a big risk. They made me spaghetti one night. That was nice. Here's the outside of the wedding, getting ready for the wedding. This is the caterer. That's a gecko. He had dinner with me. This is the best water in Uganda. It's made by Coca-Cola. That's a bird that joined the gecko with me. Oh, here's the kids with Bombas socks. They were very happy about socks. So this guy works for Julius at his house that he's building. He's making a well. And 2 days before this picture was taken, when we went there, his daughter was stillborn.
Oh.
And, again, Uganda's not America. Things are different. And he couldn't afford all the paperwork at the morgue. So they went down to the morgue, got the baby, wrapped it in banana leaves, put it in his backpack. He hopped on the bus, public transportation, rode it out to the village that he's from and buried his child.
Oh, bless him.
That's a little bit different.
That's and he's back at work 2 days later, digging a well. So that was absolutely heartbreaking. That was probably the most emotional day we had there. This lady, this is a traditional Ugandan dress, just gorgeous. She was giving some sort of testimony, which I did not seem to grasp. These are coffee beans. There's Omega.
All right then.
I do have Omega with a knife also somewhere in his appropriate stabbing
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
stance. That's the cafe at night. This is the pastor of the church where I preached at. These are like kind of the beforehand greeters. Okay, so this is the massage lady. And so I got a haircut when I was there. I also got a shave. And then in Uganda, they also give you a neck massage. So wonderful. It cost me a grand total of $3 for all of that. And and I won't go into the professional massage I got today. It's a good story. So the professional massage person basically threw my back out. So all of a sudden when they said, yeah, we'll give you a haircut, a shave, and a neck massage, I'm like, this sounds great. So the Ugandan massage people don't understand where the neck is at. So when you say neck massage, to them, they interpret that as your torso. So I went first, and I've got a traveling ex officio long sleeve, short sleeve shirt thing on. I have it unbuttoned, and the next thing I know, she's reaching down my chest and rubbing my stomach and down my back, and I'm like, what in the world? So when I got done, I came out, told them how great the haircut was, told them how great the shave was, and then I got a neck massage, and I feel great. So they're like, well, David says, I'll get a haircut. Nita says, well, I'll get a neck massage. And they basically did the same thing to her. And she's just sitting in the chair laughing her head off with her eyes closed. So this became part of an ongoing set of jokes about massages in Uganda. This is the guy that owns the Bandas, and he is interested in going to Pakistan with me after I told him my story, and wants to buy some slaves out of Pakistan. So that was a very fruitful connection that I made. This is a gate that we made up on Prayer Mountain, and they will be attaching mezuzah to that gate.
Oh, nice.
And back to the pastor again. Not sure who the lady is, but she really wanted it on the pictures, so, we let her. The pastor there, he doesn't really preach. He's more of a administrative kind of pastor, which is kind of upsetting to a lot of people. Oh, here's this is the well. Everything's old school in Uganda. And so that well right now is 75 feet deep. And there's a guy standing down at the bottom of it with a little pickaxe.
Ugh. Now that's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. And they did hit rocks. This is a Catholic shrine. People come and pray there. There's literally, I could not see the guy at the bottom of the hole.
Wow.
And then they cement it and brick it on the way, coming back up after they hit the water. Member to member.
I like that rug.
They found a ukulele, so they had to play it. Took them like 3 hours to tune it. This is the well digger guy. You can actually, you can't in the picture, but with naked eye, you can just barely see Lake Victoria over here. This is the view from their house that they're building. I took a boda to go get the professional massage. About died. It was fun. I spent one whole day in the pool teaching these Ugandans how to swim. No one over there knows how to swim because they don't have a lot of water. So they don't do any swimming. So they were really happy that I was able to spend the afternoon with them. Back to the well. They'll make sandals for you right there. They'll cut the leather and just sew them all up for you.
Nice.
That's our business group. More. So this is these are fried plantains, chapati bread, Irish potatoes, beef sausage. The eggs there are pale white because the chickens eat so poorly. They taste kind of the same, but I'm sure they're not as nutritious as ours. Oh, yep, here we go. This is getting the massage, the neck massage. Beans and rice taco day.
Molested.
This guy is a pastor in town. He had heard about me after I was preaching. He walks up, and David Nita knew him from somewhere. They pull up on the street, and they open up the door, and he goes, "Is this the Hebrew pastor?" So good news spread about the sermon that I did. This is to give the part of the neck rub. It involved the hair getting very messy. This is a food bank that we restocked and cleaned for them. There's my barber and my shaver. There's
But
Omega.
Tisa-
Do you see his knife? See his knife? Proudly showing off his knife. This is an ein coco. We call it a chicken. Part of the message that I shared is that it was not a chicken that was in the Gospels when Peter denied Messiah, but instead it was an there were no ein cocos in Jerusalem. It was a guy blowing a shofar horn, and every pastor that was there, their mouths dropped open. No one in Africa has heard that. David getting his haircut. They also shave off your eyebrows. Mine are very itchy right now because they're trying to grow back. The place was called La Posh Gents Salon. There's Omega with his stabbing motion.
He looks pretty evil.
Pretty good in that.
Yeah, it does.
Here's a bunch of kids. This is at Julius's compound where he lives right now. These are next door neighbors. They came over and they had white dolls. And I asked what the dolls' names were. And they said they didn't have names. And I said, well, we should name them. And they gave them African names. So white dolls that have African names tells me that these kids don't see color.
Yeah.
Racism is
Yeah.
a taught thing. It's not a natural child thing. Otherwise, I would have to ask them, is that a Mazunga? Is that a white person? They didn't see a white doll. They just saw a doll.
Wow. That's
Which
cool.
means it's shame on us, isn't it?
Yeah. Whoops. Lots of kids. Oh, here's some like vulture type creatures. They're about 4 to 5 feet tall, and they're scavengers. We would not eat these, of course, according to Leviticus, but they're big enough to carry away a small child.
Holy cow.
Oh yeah. We're like driving along, and I just yell, "Stop!" And he hits the brakes, and he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "What the freak are those?" We looked at some properties. They're interested in buying some property over there. Pick up a nice property for, $50,000 to $70,000 if you're interested. Member to member lady brought some banana muffins in, totally delicious. They make gates for their homes. They do some fine craftsmanship on the gates. Here's lots of little businesses. This is where I bought some gifts for Caitlin and Deanna for teaching classes. This is what the store that I bought them in. This is leaving to come home. We stopped at a little cafe. It looks just like a Starbucks, very Western. They had gelato, they had croissants, they had coffee. They warmed up a donut for me.
Nice.
This is the lady who sold us the gifts. It's actually Julius's mom. More Boda Bodas. Another building for sale. More giant killer birds. I had that donut right there.
Wow.
And
And where?
at 5 o'clock in the morning, it tasted really good. I have no idea if it was good or not, but it seemed to be at that time. All right, so this is the hairdresser lady who then we paid to come to the hotel so that we could get another neck massage, but we put boundaries on her where she couldn't go. It was outside at the pool. I sat backwards in a kitchen dining room chair and held on to the back of the chair so she couldn't get to the front side of me. So when she was done, she then went all the way around the pool taking selfies because she wanted to look like a starlet because she had never seen a pool before. She thought she was in LA at that moment. Looking at buildings. All right, I'm going to stop there. If you want to see more, I'll be happy to bring more out sometime after I get them organized. I just wanted to guys give you a good feeling for everything that happened. So let me mention one more thing about this, though. Let me take it off screen share.
Yeah.
So I did have an opportunity to preach there. It was about a 40-minute sermon translated into Ugandan. And I taught on traditions. And as I drove around with Julius in the van all week long, I kept asking him about his church and how it was founded. Where did it come from? Who is the pastor? All these things. And all of a sudden this one day he goes, "Oh yeah, no, we don't celebrate Christmas or Easter." And I'm like, "What? You're a Christian church. Of course you do." And he goes, No. Our founding pastor, Duncan, discovered that it was all pagan Roman stuff. And so we never celebrated it. So no one in our church celebrates this stuff.
Nice.
You're halfway there.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my God,
That's
this is like God
awesome.
sent me here. And I like Julius and I just got along totally wonderful. And so we dove into this together as we were driving around and talking about it. And so I was able to bring that up as a bridge at the opening of the sermon and say, well, you know, Duncan already did this with you. And that makes you pretty special amongst all of the Christian churches in Uganda. You truly are a treasured possession because Duncan got that junk out of your lives. I'm here to take you to the next level. So we talked about the chicken. We talked about Ugandan traditions just in general. And then I told him the story about what had been going on with the team of us since we arrived in Uganda. Now, this was no plan of mine. When I got introduced to Julius and Martha and others, David said, every time we'd sit down to a meal, he says, I really want to do this. Albert has been teaching us that you're supposed to pray at the end of the meal according to Deuteronomy 8:10. And so I want us to pray at the end of the meal to honor Albert for coming. And this was, again, not, I didn't mention this to anybody or anything like this. So they failed miserably. Every meal, no one remembered to pray. Every single meal. And it started irritating David immensely. And every meal we'd come back and we'd talk about it again. And I go, so David, if scripture says to do something and you're not doing it, what do you call that? And he goes, sin. I go, so that makes you a sinner, right? And he's like, well, yeah. And so he got convicted all of a sudden, okay? Wow. So, but he keeps trying and he's trying and he's trying and he keeps failing. And David, you know, he's a successful guy. He doesn't fail at a lot of things except this. No one else was even getting close to remembering. And then the night before the sermon, the evening meal, David remembers to pray. And he's like a little 5-year-old child. He is literally jumping up and down with joy that he kept a commandment. So I then shared that story with everybody in the congregation. So we now have a whole congregation. I said, I don't need you to do every commandment, okay? You can even go pick one of your own. I don't care. But what I want you to understand is that you've been given lies. Jeremiah 16 tells us that we were handed down lies. And we're going to cry out that these would be changed. So here's one example. So that morning when we woke up, that was a Sunday morning, we woke up, David got an email. And they had been trying to buy a property downtown here since COVID started. And the email came through that they had got the property. And I said, David, that email could have come any one of 364 other days. But it came today because God's blessing you for keeping his commandments. And he says, you're right. I absolutely believe that now. And I see what you're trying to teach. So it took me 2 years of knowing him, 10,000 miles, a trip to Uganda, and all of the stuff that went along with that, for him to finally break through and see that. We call that a stubborn Israelite.
Yep.
But I got a call this morning, a FaceTime call, and they had just finished dinner, and it was totally unexpected. And David looks at me, first thing he says, I prayed tonight again. I prayed tonight. I got it right tonight. So he is thrilled as a little child, which is the whole idea. The Torah was given to us as a tutor. Tutors are for small children to learn things, right? Because as soon as you cross over, I don't care if you've been a believer for 50 years, you are now a baby in Christ because you've got a whole bunch of learning to do. So anyway, we have a whole church over there now who doesn't do the feasts, the pagan feasts, and they're now keeping their first commandment to learn how to pray after a meal instead of before the meal, which is a blessing beforehand. And so we get done with the sermon, and this man comes up to me. He's one of the worship leaders. And he said, God's been talking to me about this for 1 year. I said, well, I was supposed to be here a year ago. He says, God's been telling me this, and I'm supposed to tell the church, and I didn't know how to explain it. You explained it now for me. Now I understand. So the Hebrew Roots movement is now alive and well in Masaka, Uganda, and there are people who understand what's going on with it. And while I was there, I connected with another church in Kenya. So next time I go over, I'll probably go to Nairobi, Kenya, and back into Uganda for the orphanage work. So that is my report about what happened in Uganda. I hope you guys enjoyed all of those details. But I don't want to leave you without Torah. So we are in the Torah portion, Ki Tisa, but we're going to skip forward to the Beatitudes. I've been promising you the Beatitudes. So let's get started on Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. So just a little review. Remember that Yeshua is speaking to his disciples. Though the disciples are the people who are following him, right? We talked about that last week, about what or a couple weeks ago about what that meant. So by now there's probably 100, maybe 200 disciples involved in this process, but he is not speaking to the multitudes. Although some may have overheard him, this message isn't for the multitudes, okay? This is advanced Torah, 600 level graduate work. So each beatitude opens with this Greek word Makarios. So Makarios is the how do I say, Greek word for each of the Beatitudes. There are over 100 uses of this word in the Bible, in the Septuagint and the New Testament. Makarioi, actually, because it's the plural, it is often translated blessed are, but it is not a verb. In fact, there is no verb in the opening phrase of each beatitude. It's a predicate adjective. I hate to go grammar Nazi on you my first time back here. Do you guys remember what an adjective does?
Describes.
It describes a noun, okay? So a predicate adjective, in this case, is a description of, not a command. It is a description of what it is like to be whatever this is. So it's not even that you will feel blessed. Yeshua is saying, let me describe for you people who share kingdom experiences. The people look like this, and now he's going to describe them to you. So he's describing them. He is not telling you how to be them. He is simply telling you the kinds of people that you're going to find in the kingdom. Makarios is the same word we find in Hebrew for ashrei, which is usually translated happy, lucky, fortunate, blissful. When we say a blessing, we say Baruch. So if I were going to bless something, I'd say Baruch atah Yehovah. Okay, blessed are you, Lord God, King of the universe, right? So in English, both words get translated blessed. So Baruch and Ashrei get translated blessed in English. But Ashrei does not mean blessed. Baruch means blessed. Baruch means to be blessed by someone who is a superior. It is not the word used here, and it is not the word used in most of the Psalms. The odds are, if you read the word blessed in the Bible, it's not Baruch. Blessed is the man whose sins are forgiven, the psalmist says. It's not about getting favor from God. It's the condition of the character of a person who experiences the bliss of forgiveness. So each of the Beatitudes is a description of a state of bliss. That is why they are so paradoxical, because no one could imagine that a hungry and thirsty person or a poor in spirit person could have an inner state that is full of bliss. They're backwards. They don't make human sense. And that's what makes the Beatitudes so powerful. So in 5:3, when it says, blessed are the poor in spirit, what it really says is happy those poor in spirit. They are not being blessed. They're just happy. So who are the poor in spirit? Let's take a look at the Greek and the Hebrew ideas for poor. So the Greek has two words for poor. Pene is the first one. Pene is like a day-to-day laborer. He works one day at a time, stands out on the side of the road by Jerry's looking to get in the back of a truck and go work on a farm. He's able to work and provides for himself one day at a time, what we would call a day laborer. The second Greek word is toikoi. This is a beggar. They have no ability to work. They have no means of sustaining themselves at all. And without your handout, they will die. And in the world of the first century Israel, it was filled with these people. I didn't see that group of people where I went in Uganda. There could be some around there, but they were primarily day laborers. And in fact, Yeshua has most of his encounters with people like this. He chooses to involve himself with the toy koi, the beggars. So if you look at the same beatitude in Luke 6:20, it doesn't say poor in spirit, it just says poor. So the question to ask is, why does Matityahu make a distinction by adding in spirit? Because Matityahu's Hebrew, and there are 4 words in Hebrew for poor, not just the 2 that we find in Greek. And he doesn't want you to get the wrong idea about who these poor in spirit people are. So the word for poor used here, poor in spirit, is anah, A-N-A-H. It's not evion, it's not resh, and it's not dal. It is the poor who are oppressed, not just the bottom rung of the socioeconomic class. I saw the bottom rung of the socioeconomic class in Uganda. Not the poor who just run out of money. It's the poor that are under somebody's thumb. This is my expectation, is to meet that group of people in Pakistan. He has to add in spirit to help the Hebrew reader know who he is talking about. So why does he use blessed are the poor in spirit when he means those who are crushed and held down in the place and oppressed? The question to ask is, what is the most important factor for someone whose life has been crushed and oppressed? That group of people have to, they must depend on someone else. What is the least important factor in that person's life? Pride. Because if I have pride, I will not be able to beg. And if I don't beg, I'm going to die. I won't eat that day. So in an environment where the poor and the oppressed exist and must depend on someone else, pride cannot be the issue. Because pride will get in the way of me eating that day. Every beggar understands that they cannot have pride. As long as pride is part of me living, I am going to get hungrier and hungrier. And we see that exact thing happen when Yeshua encounters these people later in the text. Remember Yeshua walking down the road and the blind man cries out, Son of David, have mercy on me. So how do the disciples respond to that guy? Shut up, oy vey, come on, you're bothering the master, move on, right? Stop crying out like that. You're making such a loud stink over here. We're just trying to walk down the road, leave us alone. And so the guy cries louder. But for him, if he doesn't get some attention from Yeshua, he's going to stay blind. So everything depends on this encounter. Nothing can stand in the way of his need. It is absolutely the most important thing in his life. No different than the woman who reached out and grabbed his tassels. That was the most important thing in her life. Do you remember the story about the Syrophoenician woman? Her daughter was possessed by a demon, and once her healed, set free. There was no place in that day during the time of the Gospels, there was no place called Syrophoenicia. That's just the English translation, unfortunately. It was a polite way of saying she was a refugee. She's from a refugee camp. He says, have I not come for the house of Israel? In other words, I'm not your Messiah. Go check in with the local help desk. Go to the temple. There's a concierge there. Talk to him about your problems. And she says, yes, you aren't my Messiah. But even the dogs, and by the way, dogs there is a very poor translation, even the puppies get scraps from the master's table. Over and over, we will see that if they are the toy koi, pride is not an issue in their lives. And that is honestly what I expect to find when I get to Pakistan and the brickyards. I'm not expecting pride to be their big issue. So, poor in spirit is the exact opposite of proud. It is to be in abject need and know I must have help. From a human perspective, pride will always block what Yah is intending to do in our lives. So for me, this was kind of an interesting thing in Uganda. Everywhere I went, I was forced to hold on to someone. And here I am, a grown man, been walking for most of my life, went to college, got degrees. I was a national karate champion. And yet I can't walk without holding on to someone because I'll fall down. I couldn't get on a motorcycle and lift my leg over it without help. What happens? Every one of those encounters, I trip going into a building. Every one of those encounters is peeling away a piece of pride. So the opening of the Beatitude, the first plank, if you will, of the Beatitudes. Don't let pride get in the way of bliss, of what it means to experience the kingdom. So there are only two Beatitudes that are in the present tense, the first and the last. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So in the first one, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Those are both present tense. The others in between are all future tense, for they will. So these two are like bookends of the teaching around a kind of like Hebrew poetry. So we have to go back and look at the tense as it relates to this odd Makarios construction, because in fact, no one inherits the kingdom. You cannot get a piece of God's kingdom. Why? Because it's not a place. The kingdom is the rule and the reign of God. You cannot show up at the land and title office with your deed for a piece of rule and reign. These people can't get to a kingdom of heaven. They all died. It's not meant to be a physical place. So there's a movie that I absolutely love, and I'm going to show you just a minute and a half clip here. Open link. Give me just a second.
Waiters always look at me and think that I'm going to have a little salad, maybe a soup, and that'll be the whole meal. And when I do my actual order, this is priceless.
Okay, let me go to screen share here. There must be a way to get into screen share. There we go. So this movie was with Orlando Bloom. It's one of my favorites. I watch it about once a year. And it's called The Kingdom of Heaven. And I want you to, this is the trailer for it, but I want you to listen, watch it, because right in the middle of it, he makes this point.
perish on behalf of those who cannot defend themselves. What could a king ask of a man like me? A better world than has ever been seen. Did you think that lay at the end of crusade? What God desires is here and here.
See, where did he point? See, the kingdom of heaven is in your conscious and it's in your heart. What the Crusades did wrong, they thought it was all about land. They wanted Jerusalem. But the kingdom of heaven can live without Jerusalem. The kingdom of heaven, he says, Yeshua says, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, right? Because it's in your mind and it's in your heart. You take it wherever you go. We're living stones, but we're moving stones. I can take the kingdom of heaven to Uganda. I can take the kingdom of heaven with me wherever I go, right? And now I lost my notes. So the kingdom of heaven is a relationship. It's not a thing. It is not land, but a matter of love and conscience. You cannot inherit a relationship. So when we read the first and the last planks of the Beatitudes about inherit the kingdom of heaven, we must realize the translation or interpretation we have been given is skewed. There must be another way to read that. The missing word in Greek that does not get translated in English is hoti, or we would read it as autos. It's a connector word that means something very important, and it changes the way the sentence reads. Because of them, the kingdom of heaven is the literal translation. Let me read it again. Because of them, the kingdom of heaven is. So our grammarians in English go loco here because you can't have a prepositional phrase of them following a connector word because. So they then assumed that it was a possessive. So they turned it into because theirs is the kingdom of heaven, which is what scripture does as well as most modern English Bibles. So like my scriptures translation says exactly that. Okay, and this is, a Hebrew Messianic Bible, right? It says because theirs, it makes it a possessive, is the kingdom of heaven. So every English Bible that I looked up does that, turns it into a possessive, but it's not a possessive. So as a result of the bliss experience of those who get rid of pride, the kingdom of heaven shows up. It is because of people like this. It is not a reward I get for getting rid of pride. So it's not blessed, right? So if I just do this, God's going to blessed me, okay? That is not what the Beatitudes are saying at all. The fact that I remove pride from my life is an experience of the kingdom of heaven. That is why it is blissful. The man without pride has bliss. As an American, we would say a man has to have pride. This is the cowboy Western American way. This is saying the man without pride experiences bliss because God shows up where there is no pride. So I had to get rid of some pride on the way of in the midst of this trip. God had to tear some things off of me. But then I get into the church service, and when I hit my knees, something happened in that room. But it wasn't because of me. It was because there was less of me. And that allowed God to do something in the people there. When that happened, that was Wednesday. By the time Sunday came, everybody wanted to know who that Hebrew pastor guy was. So everybody showed up to church. And then they heard about the traditions, right? And it was easy for them to adopt that. But it started with me walking over stairs that I couldn't walk over, stepping over sidewalks that I couldn't, they have like ditches, but I couldn't get across the ditch. So they'd have to put boards across the ditch for me to walk on like a tightrope wire to get over to where I was going. I was the weakest person there. But doesn't the Bible say when we are weak, he is strong, right? So that's the first beatitude. It's not what we've been taught. It's not about if we do this, if I just act meek, then God will bless me. That is not what the Beatitudes are saying at all, okay? So we're going to work through each of these Beatitudes as we move down the road here and look at them a little bit deeper. And for those of you who want to go really deep, I would suggest you get Skip Moen's book, The Lucky Life, the backwards Beatitudes, okay? And he goes into all of the words and the details of each one of these far more than I can get into on a regular Sabbath afternoon. All right, so that's your first Beatitude. Let me look over here at the comments. Right next to the Philippine costs about the same. So I can get the same thing and the same haircut, massage, and everything in the Philippines for $3. Nice. This is not a knife. That's a knife. Ron, you are so funny when these comments that you leave. Yeah, I was utterly shocked that they did not have, any Christmas going on or Easter or anything like. Now, there are many other churches that do there. It just happens to be the Duncan's church. They never got that as they kind of got discipled by him. For rich and faith. Okay, excellent. So that's all I have for you guys today. Questions or anything we need to talk about from here? Questions about Uganda?
Did you have fun?
I had the time of my life. I was definitely living in a bubble. It could have been a really painful experience with my hip. And it's just like every step of the way, God provided either a massage person or, something to kind of take care of me. So I came back and was feeling great. Have had no problems. I'm a bit jet lagged. I have to admit that. I slept 14 hours my first night back. And if it wasn't for Pam, so she picked me up at the airport and went to her house, picked up my car. And she says, you're not going to carry this giant luggage up your stairs tonight. I'll just bring it over tomorrow morning. And I go, well, I got a massage at 12:30. Why don't you come at 12? I'll be awake then. And so I woke up at 6 a.m. I was raring to go, wide awake. It was great. And I thought, I'm just going to lay here and kind of pray for a couple minutes. And I zonked back out. And I woke up to Pam banging on my door. Albert, you have a massage appointment. Get up. So, pretty funny.
Somebody's got to take care of you.
I know, right? So then I get over there in Africa and, we have to exchange your money and stuff like that. And the way I did this with David and Nita, I gave them a check ahead of time. We basically made a team fund. So all of my meals were taken care of. They just pay the bill at the end. Hotels, all of that kind of stuff. And then I would just, if there were some incidentals or something, I figured I'd just, put it on my visa. Well, I didn't call my visa guy before I left.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. They weren't expecting those charges from Africa to go through. So they wouldn't let me use my visas over there. And they don't take Discover. So I was broke. I was the poor over there. I'd be walking up to Nita and like, can I have 3,000 shillings, please, Mom? I want to get a haircut. So, yeah, I had become kind of the beggar and stuff. So that was a kind of a funny thing. And then I got back to Istanbul, coming back out, and I'm like, I got to buy a souvenir. I got to buy a souvenir. So I went into the Waikiki shop in Istanbul airport, and they had an Istanbul collection. And so they had there was one shirt that would fit me. I grabbed that. And then I was like, I need a hat. I always collect hats. I'm walking through the store and I see this hat and it says, it's in French, and it says, l'éternité, for eternity. I'm like, perfect hat. That's great. And somehow it's gone. It did not make it to the States. So I have United Airlines tracking it down, seeing if they can find it. And then the other funny thing that happened on the way out, I'm standing at Istanbul airport, trying to get on Turkish Airways to come to LA. And I've went through five security checks to get to this point. We've checked visas, we've checked COVID documentation, all of these things. Now the guy's wanding me, and now I have to put my carry-on bag on the table, and they're gonna dump it out and go through everything. And so my bag is sitting on the table, and there's this Arab standing next to me, and he puts his cup of coffee down on the table, and then he puts his bag on the table, and it knocks the coffee over, and coffee goes everywhere. And all of the clerks jump back, and I grab my bag and my computer and pull it off the table so it doesn't get soaked. And so then they're all wiping up the table, and then there's cleaning the table, spraying it down. And he puts his coat back down, and there are 6 kilos of powder in plastic bags.
Oh,
that doesn't look good. So they open one of them up and they smell it, and he's like, tobacco? And the guy says, yes, tobacco. Now, I don't know that all the bags were tobacco, but they could have been other spices. And so the Arab guy doesn't speak a lot of English. He just keeps saying, it's just powder. It's just powder. And that is something you should not say at a security check stand.
No.
So as soon as he starts saying that, the guy next to that was checking me, he looks at me, he goes, you can go now. So I didn't get checked onto the airplane. He just like, get out of here. So so my best suggestion is to always stand next to Arabs trying to bring tobacco into the United States. Your security check,
or at least some sort of powder.
It was a good time. I try to have fun when you. So remember, the Great Commission is, while you're going, disciple. It doesn't say go as a commandment. It
Right.
just says while you're going, disciple people. And so I just decided I'm going to go on vacation, and while I'm doing that, God will meet me where I'm at. And every day something new came up, and a lot of them were funny, and having unusual experiences. But like this idea that I'm going to go do this really important thing for God, and it's going to be like this, and it's too made up. So
Yeah.
so that's why, most of my posts were kind of funny things that were going on, because that's just the way life is. It's like Omega with the knife about killed me, but
and you fried his brain, but this is a good thing.
yeah. So
He won't be the last. Get it, the Omega.
So are we two in Hebrew tomorrow?
if I'm awake, what time do we meet, by the way?
11.
I think it's still 11.
11 o'clock. Okay, I'm gonna put that in my phone right now. And so I am planning on being awake at 11. Tomorrow's Sunday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All day.
Hebrew. So yeah, there's a good chance I'm gonna collapse right when I hang up after this. There's a good chance I'll be up until 11 tomorrow. I have no idea what's gonna happen. So but assuming that I am, awake, then I will be online at 11 tomorrow for Hebrew. Okay?
All right, sounds like a plan.
Okay.
All right. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
All right, you take it easy, Albert.
Thanks,
Be
Tomorrow.
well and Shavua Tov.
Sleep well.
Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.
Adios.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Toda rava.
Toda rava. You have the funniest comments, Ron.